The nighttime discovery. The night was cold and quiet on John's small farm. The sky was dark and full of stars. John was sitting in his old wooden chair, reading a book. His dog, Max, slept near the door. Everything was calm. Suddenly, Max's ears stood up. He growled softly and looked out the window. John noticed Max's strange behavior. "What is it, boy?" he asked. Max started barking, loud and sharp. He ran to the door and scratched it, wanting to go outside. John put on his coat and boots. He grabbed his flashlight and opened the door. "Okay, Max, show me," he said. Max ran out into the night, his nose close to the ground. John followed him, feeling a strange chill in the air. They walked through the yard and into the dark woods behind the house. The flashlight's beam showed tall trees and thick bushes. Max barked again and ran deeper into the woods. John hurried after him, his heart beating fast. Suddenly, Max stopped. He sniffed the air and barked at a bush. John moved closer and pointed his flashlight. He gasped. There, behind the bush, was a strange figure lying on the ground. The figure was not human. Its skin was pale blue and smooth. Its eyes were large and black. Its body was thin and tall. The creature wore a silver suit, torn and dirty. It was bleeding from its side, the blood glowing faintly in the darkness. John stared in shock. He wanted to run away, but Max walked slowly towards the creature, sniffing gently. The alien groaned softly, opening its eyes. It looked scared and weak. Max did not bark or growl anymore. He just sat next to the alien, wagging his tail a little. John's hands shook as he held the flashlight. He looked around, feeling like someone was watching him. The woods were quiet again, but John felt a strange fear in his heart. He took a deep breath. "Are you hurt?" John asked, his voice soft. The alien looked at him but did not answer. Its eyes closed again, and it shivered from the cold. John knelt beside the creature. He saw the blood was coming from a deep cut. The alien was losing a lot of blood. John looked at Max. The dog's eyes were gentle, as if telling John to help. "Okay. We need to help," John whispered. He took off his scarf and pressed it against the alien's wound. The alien winced but did not move away. John felt the scarf get warm and wet with the glowing blood. Suddenly, the wind picked up. John heard a strange sound in the sky, like the low hum of engines. He looked up, and through the trees, he saw flashing lights, red and blue, moving quickly above the forest. Max barked again, looking up at the sky. The alien's eyes opened wide with fear. It tried to speak, but its words were strange, soft, and broken. John could only understand one word: hide. John knew he had to act fast. He carefully lifted the alien, who was light but very weak. Max walked ahead, leading the way out of the woods. The lights in the sky grew brighter, and the humming sound got louder. John hurried, his heart pounding. They reached the edge of the woods and ran across the yard to the old barn. John opened the barn door and laid the alien on a pile of hay. Max stayed close, watching the alien with kind eyes. John grabbed some old blankets and covered the alien to keep it warm. The flashing lights in the sky moved away, disappearing into the distance. The strange hum faded, and silence returned. John was shaking, out of breath and full of questions. He looked at the alien, who was breathing slowly but still alive. Max licked the alien's hand gently, as if to say, "You're safe here." John sat down, trying to understand what had just happened. He never believed in aliens before. But now there was one in his barn, wounded and afraid. John knew his life had just changed forever. He wondered if he had done the right thing. He wondered who was searching for the alien, and if they would come back. Max curled up next to the alien, guarding it like a true friend. John sat in the barn, watching the night through the old wooden door, waiting and listening. The adventure had just begun. A dangerous secret. The morning sun was just rising when John woke up in the cold barn. He had not slept much. Max, the loyal dog, was still lying next to the alien, watching carefully. The alien was sleeping but breathing slowly, wrapped in John's old blankets. John stood up and looked outside. The farm was quiet. His wife and son were still inside the house, not knowing what had happened last night. John knew he needed to keep this secret, at least for now. If anyone saw the alien, they might call the police or someone worse. John checked. The alien's wound. The glowing blood had stopped, but the alien looked weak. John touched the alien's arm gently. The alien's eyes opened, full of fear. Max wagged his tail to show there was no danger. "My name is John," he said softly. "You are safe here." The alien stared at John and then at Max. It tried to speak, but the words were strange and slow. "Help, please," the alien whispered. John nodded. "I will help you," he said. He brought some water and gave it to the alien in a cup. The alien drank, its hands shaking. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a helicopter in the distance. John's heart raced. He peeked through the barn window. A black helicopter was flying low over the fields. Men in dark uniforms were searching the area. John quickly closed the barn door and told Max to stay quiet. The alien hid under the hay, covering itself with the blanket. John tried to act normal and walked back to the house. As he entered, his wife, Emily, greeted him. "You were out early this morning," she said. John smiled and lied, "Just checking on Max. He heard something in the night." Emily made breakfast. John watched out the window, worried. He saw two men walking near the edge of the woods, looking around carefully. They held strange devices in their hands, scanning the ground. After breakfast, John went back to the barn. The alien was still hiding, afraid to make a sound. Max sat close, always guarding. John knew he could not keep the alien hidden forever. He had to make a plan. The alien tried to speak again. "Bad people coming," it said, pointing to the sky. "They find me." "You in danger," John frowned. He wanted to help, but he did not want to put his family in danger. He thought for a long time, sitting on a bale of hay with Max beside him. Suddenly, the alien's small communicator, a glowing round device, started to blink. The alien's eyes filled with fear. It spoke quickly in its own language. The device showed a red light and a strange symbol. John asked, "What does that mean?" The alien answered, "They close hunting me." Max started barking again. John looked out and saw the two men coming toward the barn. John's heart was pounding. He told the alien to hide deeper under the hay. Max lay in front of the alien, blocking it from view. The men knocked on the barn door. John took a deep breath and opened it. "Good morning, sir," one man said. "We are looking for something, maybe an injured animal. Did you see or hear anything strange last night?" John shook his head. "Just my dog barking, but I didn't see anything." The men looked around the barn, but saw only Max lying in the hay and John's farming tools. "All right, if you see anything, let us know," the man said. They left, but John saw them talking into their radios as they walked away. John closed the door and let out a long breath. Max wagged his tail, proud to help. The alien sat up, shaking with fear and relief. John knew things were getting dangerous. He could not trust anyone now. He had to protect the alien, his family, and himself. As the sun set that day, John brought food and water to the barn. The alien slowly ate a piece of bread, grateful. Max slept beside the alien, never leaving its side. John looked at them and wondered what would happen next. Would more people come? Would the alien's enemies find them? He was scared, but also curious. He knew his life would never be the same. The secret in his barn was growing more dangerous every minute. But John also felt something new: hope. Maybe, if they worked together, they could survive. Maybe, with Max's help, they could even become friends. The night was coming again. The real story was just beginning. The alien's story. The barn was quiet. John sat beside the alien, still thinking about the men who had searched his farm. Max lay on the hay, his eyes watching every movement. The alien, wrapped in the old blanket, looked weak but better than before. John wanted to understand. He needed to know who or what this creature was, and why it was in trouble. He waited until the sun was high, then brought more water and a bowl of soup. The alien tried to smile, but it looked sad. John sat down across from the alien. "Can you talk now?" he asked softly. Max wagged his tail, as if encouraging the alien to speak. The alien nodded. It took a long breath, then spoke in slow, careful English. "My name is Zale." John listened, surprised that Zale could speak his language. "Why are you here, Zal?" he asked. Zal looked away, his big black eyes full of pain. "We came from far, very far," Zal said. "Our people landed here to learn, but not all want peace. Some want war." John frowned. He remembered the bright lights, the sound in the sky, and the fear on Zal's face. "Did someone hurt you?" he asked. Zal nodded. "Yes, my own kind. I did not want to fight. I wanted to stop them." Zal pointed to the wound on his side. "They shot me, left me to die." Max moved closer to Zal and licked his hand as if to comfort him. Zal looked at Max and managed a small smile. "Your animal. Kind. He saved me." John was silent for a moment. He thought about the world outside, the men searching for Zal, and the strange device still blinking red in the hay. Why did they come here? What do they want? Zal's voice shook. "They want this world. They think humans are weak, but I know. Humans strong. Humans have heart." John almost smiled. He never thought an alien would say something like that. "If you want peace, why did you come alone?" he asked. Zal closed his eyes. "I tried to talk to your leaders, but my people stopped me. Now they hunt me. They think I will tell you secrets." John sat quietly. He felt sorry for Zal. The alien did not seem dangerous. He only seemed lost and afraid. Just then, Max started barking. He stood up, his nose in the air. John looked through a crack in the barn wall. Out in the field, he saw something strange, 3 tall, thin shadows moving quickly among the crops. They were not men. They moved like ghosts, silent and fast. Zal's face turned pale blue. "They found me," he whispered. John moved quickly. "Stay here. Don't make a sound," he said. He grabbed his old hunting rifle, just in case. Max stayed by Zale's side, ready to protect. The shadows came closer. They looked almost human, but their skin was shiny and gray. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. John's heart pounded as he watched them search the yard, looking for any sign of Zal. Suddenly, one of the creatures moved toward the barn door. Max started barking loud and angry, his fur standing up. John pointed the rifle at the door, his hands shaking. The creature stopped and listened. Then it turned and walked away, joining the others. The 3 strange aliens disappeared into the woods. John let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He looked at Zal. "Who are they?" Zal whispered. "Hunters. Sent to find me. Very dangerous." John realized his farm was no longer safe. He needed a plan, and he needed it fast. The sun was setting, painting the sky with red and orange colors. John brought food for Zal and sat in the barn with Max. He thought about the hunters, the men in black, and the secret they all shared now. Zal spoke softly. "You helped me. I will help you." He took out a small device from his suit. It glowed blue. "This can hide us for a while, but not forever," John nodded. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew he could not turn his back now. He would protect Zal, just as Max had. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. Outside, the night grew darker. But inside the barn, hope and friendship started to grow, stronger than fear. The enemy arrives the next day. John was more careful than ever. He watched the road, the sky, and the woods. He saw nothing unusual at first, but he did not relax. Max was restless too, walking circles in the barn, ears sharp for any sound. Zal slept only a little, always waking up from bad dreams. In the morning, John's wife, Emily, asked, "Why are you spending so much time in the barn, John?" John forced a smile. "Just fixing some things. Max likes the company." Emily shrugged, busy with her day. John was glad she didn't notice the extra food he was taking out. When John brought Zale a small breakfast, Zale tried to smile. "Thank you, John. Thank you, Max." Max wagged his tail, sitting close to Zal like a true friend. John whispered, "You need to rest, but we must be ready." "I saw the hunters yesterday. I think they'll come again," Zal nodded. "They do not give up. They will come." That afternoon, John heard a strange noise in the distance. It was not the sound of a tractor nor a car on the dirt road. It was a humming, like a machine, mixed with high beeping sounds. Max ran to the barn door and barked, fur bristling. Zal's face filled with fear. John peeked outside. In the sky, a dark shape appeared, something like a small ship, shiny and smooth, with blue lights flashing around it. It hovered above the woods, making the leaves shake. Then, slowly, it began to lower toward the ground, almost invisible among the trees. John's heart raced. "They're here," he said. Zal pulled the small blue device from his suit and pressed a button. A soft blue light glowed and covered Zal, John, and Max. "This will hide us from their scanners, but only for a short time," Zal whispered. They heard footsteps crunching in the dry leaves outside. John grabbed his old rifle, more for comfort than real protection. Max growled softly, but did not bark. Zal stayed perfectly still, through a crack in the barn wall. John saw 3 aliens, tall, thin, with gray skin and glowing eyes, moving quickly. They spoke in a language John could not understand, sharp and fast. The leader pointed at the house, and the others started searching around the yard, checking the barn door. John held his breath as one alien pressed its hand against the barn wall. For a moment, the blue glow from Zal's device shimmered, and the alien stepped back, confused. Inside the barn, Zal spoke quietly. "They know I am close. If they break the shield, they will find us." Emily and John's son, Ben, were in the house. John worried about their safety. "They might go to the house," he whispered. Max growled again, staring at the barn door. Suddenly, one of the aliens kicked the door hard. It rattled, but the old wood held. The blue light grew weaker, flickering around them. John saw the aliens talking, frustrated. The leader pulled out a small, strange gun and aimed it at the barn. John's hands shook as he aimed his rifle back. For a moment, it looked like a fight would begin. But then, Max barked loudly and ran to the back of the barn, pushing a loose board aside and jumping out. The aliens followed the sound, thinking Zal was escaping that way. John took the chance. He grabbed Zal and hurried him through the same hole. They ran behind the barn, hiding in the tall grass. The aliens searched the barn, but found nothing but hay and old tools. Max barked from behind a tree, drawing their attention farther away. John and Zal crawled through the grass, moving as quickly and quietly as they could. Finally, they reached the woods, hiding behind a fallen log. Max found them a few moments later, tongue out, proud and happy. Zal hugged Max, whispering, "Good dog, brave friend." They heard the ship's engine start again. The aliens, angry, flew away to search somewhere else, their ship disappearing into the sky. John hugged Max too, full of relief. "You saved us, boy," he whispered. Zal looked at John and Max. "I will never forget this. Your trust, your courage. You are not like the others said." John nodded, but he was worried. The danger was not over. The aliens knew they were close. They would return, maybe stronger next time. As night fell, John, Max, and Zal returned to the barn. tired but safe for now. John looked at his loyal dog and his new alien friend. He knew that their only chance was to work together, to trust each other completely. The enemy had arrived. But John was ready to fight, not just for his family, but for his new friend and for the hope of peace. Unlikely allies, the night was cold and silent after the aliens left. John, Zal, and Max stayed hidden in the barn, afraid to turn on any lights. John was worried about his family. He wanted to tell Emily and Ben everything, but he was scared they might panic. He watched them through the window as they slept, safe for now. Zal was weak from his wound and the long day of hiding. He tried to rest, but he kept listening for any sound from outside. Max lay close to him, as if protecting him from the whole world. John sat nearby, holding his old rifle, watching the barn door. In the morning, John made a plan. He knew he could not keep Zal hidden forever. He decided to contact someone for help. But who would believe his story about aliens and spaceships? Still, he tried. He called the local police on his old phone. "There are dangerous men on my farm," John said carefully. "They are searching for someone who needs help." "We will send a car," the police replied, but they sounded tired and not interested. John knew they did not believe him. A little later, a police car arrived. 2 officers came out and spoke with John in the yard. He wanted to tell them the truth, but when he looked at their faces, he lost his courage. "Just some strangers walking around last night," John said. The police checked the yard, saw nothing, and left soon after. Inside the barn, Zal sat quietly. "Why not tell them?" Zal asked in a weak voice. John shook his head. "They wouldn't believe me. They might hurt you." Zal nodded. "Some humans, quick to fear what is different." He touched Max's fur. "But some, like Max, are kind." John brought Zal food and water. Zal tried to eat, but he was still in pain. Max watched him closely. When Zal dropped his cup, Max picked it up and gave it back to him. Zal smiled. "He is not just a pet. He is family." Suddenly, Zal gasped and held his side. His wound had opened again. John was scared. He wanted to help, but he did not have any medicine that worked on aliens. Zal took a small silver device from his belt. "This is for healing. But I do not have the energy to use it alone." Zal looked at Max and then at John. "I need both of you. Trust is stronger than fear." John nodded and helped Zal place the device over his wound. Zal placed one hand on John's arm and one on Max's back. The device glowed bright blue. For a moment, John felt a strange warmth in his arm. Max whimpered but did not pull away. Slowly, Zal's wound started to close. The glowing blood stopped and Zal's breathing became steady. He looked much better. John and Max both felt tired, but Zal smiled for the first time. "Thank you," Zal whispered. "Your trust gave me strength." That night, the farm was quiet again. John talked to Zal about the stars, about life on Earth, and about how people sometimes fear what they don't understand. Zal listened, curious about humans and their ways. In the dark, Max started barking softly. John looked outside and saw a shadow near the house. He grabbed his rifle and ran out, Max at his side. The shadow was a young man from the next farm over, sneaking around. "What are you doing here?" John called. The young man, scared, said, "I saw lights and strange sounds last night." "Is everything all right?" John tried to act calm. "Just some trouble with wild animals. Go home and tell your father everything's fine." The young man nodded and left quickly. John knew the secret was getting harder to keep. Soon, more people might come, asking questions. John returned to the barn. Zal was waiting, looking serious. "Your people will find out soon. My enemies will return. We must be ready," John agreed. "You are not alone, Zal. Max and I will help you. We are allies now," Zal nodded. "I trust you, John, and I trust Max." Max wagged his tail happily, ready for anything. That night, John, Zal, and Max made plans. They set traps around the barn using ropes, boards, and old tools. Zal showed John how to use a small alien gadget that could make a loud noise if anyone came close. Together, they waited for whatever would come next. They were different: a human, a dog, and an alien, but now they were a team. John felt braver with Max by his side and Zal as his friend. Whatever happened, he knew they would face it together. Outside, the wind was strong and the night was dark. But inside the barn, there was hope and 3 unlikely allies, ready to protect each other. The final stand. The night was darker than usual. Clouds covered the moon, and the wind made the trees move and whisper. John, Zal, and Max waited in the barn, listening to every sound outside. The traps were ready. The alien gadget Zal gave to John was on the ground, set to make a loud alarm. If anything came close, John checked the old rifle once more. Zal held his small healing device, just in case. Max walked around the barn, sniffing the air. He seemed nervous, but his eyes were sharp and brave. Inside the house, Emily and Ben were sleeping. John had locked every door and window. He wanted to keep them safe, no matter what. Suddenly, Max stopped and growled at the barn door. Zal's alien gadget started to glow red. Someone or something was coming. John whispered, "Stay close, be ready." The door rattled. The air felt heavy. Zal pressed his blue device, and a faint shield appeared around them, just enough to slow down anything that got inside. Max barked loudly, warning the intruders. 3 shadowy figures entered the yard. Their gray skin shimmered, and their eyes glowed yellow in the darkness. They were the hunters. Each one held a strange weapon, long and black, humming with deadly power. The first hunter aimed at the barn and fired. A blast of white light hit the shield. The shield held, but only for a moment. John fired his rifle back, but the bullet bounced off the hunter's armor. Zal touched John's arm. "We cannot fight them with your gun. We must outsmart them." Max ran to the back of the barn and pushed over a bucket, making a loud noise. The hunters turned, distracted. At that moment, one stepped on a tripwire. A heavy board swung down, knocking the hunter off his feet. "Max!" barked, proud. The second hunter moved to the side of the barn, scanning for Zal. Zal pressed his device again. A bright light flashed, and the hunter covered his eyes, stumbling back. John grabbed a rope trap and pulled it tight, catching the hunter's legs. He fell, unable to stand. The last hunter was the biggest and most dangerous. He pointed his weapon at John. Zal jumped in front of John and held up his healing device. The weapon fired, but the blue shield flickered and blocked it, though the force pushed both Zal and John to the ground. The hunter marched forward. Max jumped on the hunter's back, biting hard. The hunter roared and tried to shake Max off, but Max held on, brave and strong. The hunter finally threw Max to the side. But the dog rolled and quickly got up, still ready to fight. John crawled to the gadget Zal had made. He pressed a red button. The gadget exploded with a loud, piercing sound, making the hunters cover their ears and fall to their knees. Zal stood up, breathing hard. Now John and Zal pushed the hunters toward the traps. Max barked and snapped at their legs, driving them back. The hunters, confused and hurt, finally turned and ran out of the barn, disappearing into the night. Their ship lifted off from behind the trees, bright lights flashing, and soon they were gone, flying up into the sky. Silence returned to the farm. John was shaking, but alive. Zal fell to his knees, tired but smiling. Max ran to Zal and licked his hand, tail wagging with joy. "You did it, Max," John said, hugging his dog. "You saved us all." Zal looked at John and Max, his eyes full of tears. "I am alive because of you. You risked everything for me. I will never forget this. John sat on the barn floor, breathing hard. We are safe. For now, he said. But what if they come back? Zal shook his head. They will not come soon. Your bravery and teamwork surprise them. They are not used to losing. Max barked, as if agreeing. The three friends sat together, exhausted but full of hope. Emily and Ben woke up and came to the barn, worried about the noise. John finally told them the truth. At first, they did not believe him, but when they saw Zal, they understood. Emily hugged John, and Ben petted Max, calling him the bravest dog in the universe. The long, hard night was over. The danger was gone, at least for now. As the morning sun rose, John, Zal, Max, Emily, and Ben sat in the barn, tired but happy. Their lives would never be the same. They had faced the unknown and stood together, human, alien, and dog. They had won, not with weapons, but with courage, kindness, and trust. A new beginning. The sun rose slowly over the farm, bringing warm light after a long, hard night. John sat outside the barn, feeling tired but peaceful. Emily brought him a cup of coffee and sat beside him. Max lay at their feet, still watching everything, always ready. Inside the barn, Zal slept deeply, finally safe. Ben came running from the house. Dad, is it really over? He asked. John nodded and smiled. Yes, son, for now it's over. The bad aliens are gone. We're safe. Emily looked at John. What will we do about Zal? She asked quietly. John thought for a moment. We will help him. He is our friend now. A few hours later, Zal woke up and came outside. He looked at the family and smiled. His wound had healed almost completely. Max ran to him and jumped with happiness. Zal knelt and hugged Max, whispering thanks in his own language. Zal looked at John and Emily. You saved my life. Your family is strong and kind. On my world, trust like this is rare. I am lucky to know you. John smiled. You are family now, Zal. But what will you do next, if those aliens come back? Zal shook his head. I sent a message to my own people. I told them the truth. Not all humans are enemies. Not all aliens want war. Maybe they will listen. Maybe one day there can be peace. Ben sat with Zal and asked about space, stars, and other worlds. Zal answered every question, describing places and creatures Ben had never imagined. Emily listened, amazed at how different, yet how alike, Zal was to them. As the days passed, life slowly returned to normal. The fields needed work, the animals needed feeding, and the chores never stopped. But everything felt different now. John felt braver, Ben felt wiser, and Emily felt proud of her family. Max became a hero in the village. When neighbors heard about how he scared off dangerous men, they brought him treats and called him the best dog ever. No one knew the whole story, and John wanted to keep it that way. The secret of the alien in the barn was safe with them. Zal helped on the farm, using his alien skills to fix broken machines and make chores easier. He even built a small device that helped water the fields better than ever before. Ben and Max followed Zal everywhere, learning and laughing. Sometimes at night, John and Zal sat under the stars, talking quietly. Zal shared stories of his home, of his family far away, and of the great hope he felt now. John listened and realized how much they all had changed. One afternoon, a government car arrived at the farm. A serious-looking woman stepped out and asked about the strange lights and noises people had seen at night. John and Emily acted calm. We had some wild animals and maybe a few fireworks. Nothing more, John said. The woman looked at Max, who barked once and wagged his tail. She smiled. Looks like your dog kept you safe. Then she left, and the family all laughed with relief. After that, Zal decided to stay on Earth for a while. Your world is beautiful, he said. And I still have much to learn. He promised to stay hidden and careful, but he also said he wanted to help make Earth a better place. The bond between John, Emily, Ben, Max, and Zal grew stronger each day. They were a strange family, but a true one. Months later, as the seasons changed, Zal sent one last message to his world. There is hope here. Humans and aliens can be friends. No other ships came. The danger was gone. Zal was free to live and learn, and the family was happy to share their lives with him. On quiet evenings, John often thought about the night Max found a wounded enemy in the woods. He realized that one small act of kindness had changed everything, not just for Zal, but for their whole family, and for Max, the loyal dog who started it all. Every day was a new adventure. He had made a friend from the stars, and his world would never be boring again. Together, they faced the unknown and built a new future, one of hope, trust, and friendship. The story of a dog, a human, and an alien was not the end. It was a new beginning.